Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the first semi-final will be played tomorrow at the SCG between New Zealand and Pakistan. And from my recent predictions, I did expect an India versus England semi-final in Adelaide, and that will be the case on Thursday. However, I thought if the South Africa versus New Zealand game was not rained off, which it wasn't, I thought that South Africa could get the result that they wanted to get and probably would get that. I'm very surprised that hasn't been the case. A monumentous win for the Netherlands, and on one hand, you could call it an upset, but on another hand, they were the better side from the start. So I think with the way that they won the game, I think that this was a brilliant win for them, especially against you could say a cricketing giant like South Africa and on a world stage. They've won their last two games in this T20 World Cup against Zimbabwe, who beat Pakistan earlier on, and South Africa, who beat India. And I think since Pakistan have beaten Bangladesh, they've now secured direct qualification, I think, for the next T20 World Cup in 2024. So huge well done to them. This is I thought they deserved the second result to go their way with the way they played in this game. I think Stefan Maiber, if I'm saying his name right, I think he's retired after this South Africa game, and what a way to bow out with such a monumentous win. And yeah, I'm very happy for the Netherlands. And for South Africa, I don't really think you could associate this bottle job with the other ones. I think this one probably is the worst of the lot, especially with the way they won the game. And going to the first innings, I thought they would assert their dominance with the ball, considering how we've seen Netherlands bat in the recent past. And especially from the second over, where Kagiso Rabada was hit for 12 runs, I thought that, the Netherlands may offer some resistance, and they did in the power play. I think 48 without loss after 6 overs. There was a bit of a lull after that stage until the very end. I mean, apart from Tom Cooper, who took on Keshav Maharaj, I think he scored 35 off 18 balls. Apart from him, there was no one who gave any kind of impetus to the innings, and you thought that the game, despite the fact that wickets didn't fall much, you thought the game was getting back into South Africa's hands. And especially if it wasn't for the innings that Tom Cooper played. And I thought the last overs of three bowlers, Kagiso Rabada, Lungi Ngidi, and surprisingly Wayne Parnell, who had actually bowled well until his last over, I thought that those 3 overs helped the Netherlands get to the score that they did. I thought from Rabada's first over, you saw that he was quite angry throughout this innings, and especially when he caught the catch on the boundary rope, he kind of threw the ball in exasperation. I thought the anger did get the better of him today. I'm not surprised that he did go for quite a few runs. Lungi Ngidi did go for a lot of runs as well, and I think that I would have actually played Tabraiz Shamsi instead of one of those two. In my view, I would have left Lungi Ngidi out and played Tabraiz Shamsi. I think that with the kind of the purchase for the slow bowlers that we saw in that game, I thought he could have done something on the day. But even then, I thought that South Africa would have been very disappointed with the end of with how the last few overs of that innings went. And as I said, I was a bit confused after the power play until the last part, because I thought that there was a huge lull in the innings apart from the innings of Tom Cooper. But the Netherlands got to 158 for 4. I still didn't think it would be too out of reach for South Africa. And the first 20 runs of the opening partnership in the next innings, when Quinton de Kock was going great guns and even Bavuma was scoring some boundaries, I thought that they would get there at the end. But overall, the wicket which I thought kind of put the game a bit in Netherlands' favour was the wicket of Aiden Markram when the score was on 90. I thought that if you're looking at South Africa's batting depth, which I've pointed out quite a few times in the last few videos, it was all on David Miller and Heinrich Klaasen. And had a wicket not been lost after that stage, I think they needed 48 from 5 overs, South Africa would have won the game. But the outstanding catch from Roelof van der Merwe dismissing David Miller, I thought that was the wicket that kind of put this game very much, at least 80 to 90% in the Netherlands' hands. And when Heinrich Klaassen was dismissed, it was pretty much game over. So magnificent win for the Netherlands, and that is them securing direct qualification, and South Africa unfortunately not making it to the semi-finals. And one team that did benefit from that was Pakistan. And in that Pakistan versus Bangladesh game, I think that with the first, I thought Bangladesh did have quite a bit of an advantage batting first on that surface. I thought if they got to a competitive total, which it would have been hard to do considering by the nature of their batting lineup, you've got pretty much. Yes, Nazmul Hossain Shanto played well on the day with his half century, but Liton Das and still the experienced Shakib Al Hasan were going to be the main two players who are going to kind of inflict that damage. Liton Das was batting really well, but unfortunately was dismissed, hitting a wide one straight, I think, backward point off Shaheen Afridi. And even then, I thought that the Bangladesh recovered quite well. I think it was 70 for 1 after 10 overs, a partnership between Nazmul Hossain Shanto and Soumya Sharkar. But after that, with 2 back-to-back wickets of consecutive deliveries, the over from Shadab Khan, I thought the third umpiring decision of Shakib Al Hasan's wicket, I thought that did hugely affect the progression of the game, and especially that innings, because they went from 70 for 1 to 127 for 8. Now, I'm not going to say that Pakistan didn't deserve to win the game, because it is a team game, and if one player does get out, look, the Bangladesh batting lineup, apart from a few players, is quite fragile, and you're not getting enough or anywhere near enough output from a lot of the players, and Pakistan did prey on that. So I'm not going to say Pakistan didn't deserve to win the game. I thought that at the end of the day, a shortcoming in the Bangladesh side kind of did expose things more than they probably should have been. And they went from 70 for 1 to 127 for 8. And I still thought this was going to be quite a difficult chase for Pakistan, considering the nature of the surface and the nature of their batting. And I thought that if Bangladesh got 150, the game would probably be out of reach for Pakistan. But since it was a target of 128, I thought they still did have a chance, but it was going to be a tricky chase. Now, the one thing that they wouldn't be too happy about was the opening stand. I think it was the slowest opening stand in T20I cricket by a full member nation. Mohammad Rizwan at least was scoring about just over 100 strike rate until he was dismissed, where he scored 32 off 32 balls. But I thought Babar Azam, apart from the 2 boundaries that he hit, one off Taskin Ahmed, I think, and the other one off Shakib Al Hasan towards the end of his innings, he did struggle a lot, 25 of 33 balls, and I'm not surprised that he did do. Simply because even when he was in form, I thought he did struggle quite a bit when he batted on slow surfaces. I remember a PSL game where I think he scored 44 off 62 balls, and recently they did have that loss against Zimbabwe chasing 115, I think, and they were brought out for 99. So he does struggle on these slow services, and I'm not surprised that he did so in this game as well. And arguably, Pakistan would have been happy that the opening partnership was broken, so that Mohammad Haris, who's played another very good innings now, kind of shifting the momentum for his side. You could say, yeah, the cameo against South Africa, yes, he wasn't the determining factor in that game, but it still was a brilliant innings. And in this one, I think 31 off 17, and he was a large part in helping his side recover from I wouldn't say they were in a precarious position, but with the nature of the surface and the quality of the Bangladesh attack, I thought that they did need someone to play that kind of innings, and Mohammad Haris did do that very well. So Pakistan are in the semi-finals, quite an unlikely thing, really. And I think that, look, of course, now that there usually is a lot of hype around Pakistan, and especially now people are kind of expecting an India-Pakistan final, and that's where this preview comes in, because I do still think that based on where the game is being played, this could go either way. I think that the last few results at the SCG have mostly been favouring the side batting first. I think in the last 6 wins at this ground, only one of them has been while chasing, and that was in the England versus Sri Lanka game, where it was still quite tough towards the end for England to get over the line. So I think a common trait that we have seen in this ground so far is that, especially early on, it is easy to kind of lose wickets. We saw that for New Zealand against Sri Lanka, and I think also Pakistan against South Africa as well. I think that if you navigate through that stage, there are runs to get at the end, especially if you're batting first, when we saw with both those recoveries for New Zealand and Pakistan. I think the side that bats first will have a huge advantage in this game, and I think that if you're looking at the team that can compete overall, I think with Pakistan, there'll be a side that relies a lot on their bowling attack, as we have seen, and this is by far the best bowling attack in this competition. However, with New Zealand providing a lot more batting assurance, I think that if they bat first, and with the grit that they have shown, and especially ICC events of late, where even against Sri Lanka, when they were 15 for 3, I thought that it was a much easier recovery than it would have been against other sides, but they still had to recover from that situation, and they did so very admirably. Glenn Phillips has been in magnificent form, a half century and a century to his name. And Devon Conway has scored a 92 not out against Australia, but he hasn't been that great in the other games, but I'm sure he'll come good, and I think that he can come good in this game. I think those two especially will be the key for New Zealand. And like I said, in ICC events, I think the steel that New Zealand have shown, I think even if Pakistan do put them under pressure at the start, New Zealand, I think, can find a way to still recover from that situation and get to a decent score. And if they get to 150 or so, I think it will still be very difficult for Pakistan to chase things down, simply because not only do you have to make sure you don't lose wickets, which I think the Pakistan openers can do, but the thing we saw against Bangladesh is that they got a half-century partnership, but they still did put a decent bit of pressure on the batsmen that came after them. And if it wasn't for Mohammad Harris's innings, then I think Pakistan would have found it a lot more difficult than they did to chase down those runs. So I think that if New Zealand get that 150 kind of score, and they get a lot of dot balls at the start of the Pakistan batting innings, even without dismissing the openers, I think that it will be a bit difficult for Pakistan to kind of catch up after a start that they would not have liked. But off late, Pakistan have got the better record against New Zealand. I think they have beaten them quite a few times in a row, I think, in the last few T20 games that they've played. And I think they played twice recently in New Zealand, and both those games Pakistan won. So they do have the wood on them in the last few games, I think, especially since the last T20 World Cup. And I think that if Pakistan bat first, and with the recovery that they made against South Africa, arguably, yes, you could say South Africa after 43 for 4 did kind of let things slip, and I don't think New Zealand will do that. But if Pakistan do bat first and they somehow find a way to get to that 140, 150, it will be very difficult. But if they do, I think with the kind of attack that they've got, I think the pressure will shift to New Zealand. But as you would probably realize by now, I think the team that bats first will be kind of in the pole position to win this game, in my view, if they play their cards right. I do think, however, New Zealand can benefit from that more with their more assured batting than Pakistan. I think that even if Pakistan do bat first, they haven't exactly shown the assurance so far, in my view. Yes, despite the fact that there was that brilliant comeback against South Africa, they haven't really showed the assurance, in my view, that they can still cope with the pressure, especially with the fragility of their batting lineup. So I think that if New Zealand bat first, I think they will have more of a chance to win the game than if Pakistan bat first. It still be, I'm sure, will be a great game to watch. And I still think, despite the fact that Pakistan's bowling attack can kind of win the game for them on their day, I think that with New Zealand's better kind of or more assured batting, I think that if they bat first, Pakistan will have to go a long way in restricting New Zealand first and then chasing down the run. So let's see how that game goes tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, please share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?